You probably heard on the news there, Deputy John Brady of Sinn Féin was amongst a delegation that met the Minister yesterday, Minister Mary Mitchell O'Connor, as regards the future of Ardmore Studios. We want to hear what he has to say. Deputy Brady's on the line. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Declan. How are you?
Okay, thank you. So what happened?
Well, I suppose following a request from myself, the Minister Mary Mitchell O'Connor agreed to meet a delegation from the TDs, the Wicklow TDs. So we met with her yesterday. There was a number of officials from her department and also from Enterprise Ireland, which actually holds the 32% shares within Ardmore Studios. They hold them in trust for the state. So the meeting obviously follows on from the campaign from the workers, the legitimate and very the concerns that they had in relation to the selling off of Ardmore Studios, the state's interest, and also the conditions, if indeed there were any conditions attached to the sale. So I outlined all of those concerns to the Minister yesterday. Obviously the state major, senior shareholder, 32% share, albeit as a silent partner, and the Minister, actually stated that they had no intent whatsoever of selling their 32% sharehold in Ardmore Studios. So, on that front, that was welcome news, because certainly within the workforce there in Ardmore Studios, there was real concerns that the state was going to offload their shares. So she said absolutely not, that their intent is to protect the film industry in Wicklow. They say it as a...
In Wicklow?
In Wicklow.
Protected the film industry in Wicklow. Did she say specifically those words?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a quote. So look,
no, because before, when we've been talking about it, not just with you, but other deputies in the county as well, there's concern that the business itself could actually be moved outside of Wicklow and maybe end up in Limerick, and the film industry with Enterprise Ireland could be based out of Limerick.
No, well, absolutely. I mean, they are legitimate concerns and concerns that I had and still have, because I've been very critical of, the state's involvement and also the CEO of Ardmore Studios and involvement in the new Troy Studios down in Limerick. Now, I had, over the last number of years, meetings with the CEO in Ardmore Studios, and it was stated time and time again that, they were committed to Ardmore Studios, and then only to find out that she was actually a director of the new film studios down Troy Studios in Limerick. So certainly I felt, and still feel, that what had been stated was, certainly best and helpful, and also one of the other major shareholders in Ardmore Studios is also very heavily involved with the Troy Film Studios. But
they're all stacked against us then, in a way, aren't they, John? I mean,
all I have is the word of the Minister and her officials, that they're saying they want to protect the film industry in Wicklow, and I suppose that is why it's so important that the state retains its 32% share.
But they could equally own the 32% in Limerick, and they'd still be able to come back to you and you said, well, I told you we were going to protect the film industry. We didn't necessarily commit it or anchor it into Wicklow, but we've maintained our 32%, but the studios will be in Troy Studios in Limerick.
Well, look, the film industry, and speaking to the staff in Ardmore Studios, I mean, it's a well-recognised fact that TV and film production crew, they want to be based on the East Coast because of its proximity to the city centre, its proximity to the views and the parks and all the other settings here that Wicklow provides. It's easily accessible for the TV and film production crews. So this is where they want to be. They don't want to be down in Limerick, and even some of the film stars, they want to be based in Wicklow or the city centre, and this is where the demand is. So, Ardmore Studios offers the only purpose-built sound stage anywhere in
yeah, but we can say that, but we got to have the people who hold the purse strings or the other strings to hold on to it are convinced by it. Let me ask you about Ardmore Studios. The land, the buildings and the business, those three aspects of what's on the Herbert Road in Bray, how do you see their future, or are they all lumped together?
Well, I suppose from the first issue there, the land, now there was a delegation of the workers went to the Bray Municipal District meeting last night and gave a presentation and outlined their concerns about Ardmore Studios and asked them to ensure that the zoning, which is zoned F1 solely for film production and film purposes, that is safeguarded. It is currently in the existing development plan. Bray is starting the process of putting in place a new development plan. And I think I don't want to speak for all the councillors. I was at the meeting last night and I listened to the debate and the contributions from the councillors. So I think there was unanimous agreement around the table from the 8 councillors there in Bray that they would ensure that the zoning was safeguarded. Now there is a small anomaly. There's one parcel of land, Lowe's Haulage. It used to be used by Lowe's Haulage. That's currently zoned as residential. It's owned by Ardmore Studios. So, my colleague there, Michael O'Connor, raised that and asked for that, to be safeguarded and actually rezoned for film purposes only, to move it away from its current zoning as residential.
So just to clarify this, that you don't see Wicklow County Council, or at least the intention of councillors in Bray, to give planning permission to rezone from film use to residential of the Ardmore Studios land?
Certainly that wasn't, I think there was unanimous calls last night at the council meeting to ensure that the zoning remained for film purposes.
I know it's not directly her responsibility, but did the minister indicate anything? Because politicians, as you know, you're one yourself, John, but the minister, can say, look, we've got a great commitment to the film industry, and we're going to make sure that Ireland PLC will do this, we'll keep the tax breaks, we'll keep Enterprise Ireland, but it's tying it into Wicklow.
I'm very cautious what the minister had to say yesterday. Now, the two things that were said. One is that the state is going to retain the 32% share, and secondly that, there was fears that it was going to be an unconditional sale of the 68% shares. Now, it is going to be sold as a going concern. So it's, the minister also stated that in the Articles of Association that, they feel there's enough protections in there to ensure that, some big developer doesn't come in, buy up the 18 acres of Ardmore Studios, asset strip it, and then try force the hand of the local authorities.
Fair enough. And finally, John, if the new people buy it and they've got a relationship with Limerick, is there anything in the conditions of sale that will prevent them moving out of Wicklow into Limerick?
Well, I queried the minister on that, and again, going back to the Articles of Association, they have the right to examine to see if the sale is in the best interest of the film industry in Ardmore Studios, and certainly I will be ensuring that the government are kept under very, very stringent pressure to ensure that actually happens. And on that, I've asked, because there's 2 phases in relation to the sale. I mean, they're going through the first round of bids at the moment. That will move to the second round of bids, possibly late January, early February, and that's where the prospectus, and that's in relation to the sale of Ardmore Studios. I question as to whether we could actually see that now. At this stage, they're saying no, legally they cannot disclose the contents of that. They are going to have a look to see as to whether there's elements in that may be, may not be commercially sensitive, and maybe, they might be able to disclose it. So when they get to the second, the second round of bids, and it becomes more apparent who are the serious players in terms of putting in the bids, the minister has ceded to another meeting with the TDs at that stage. So,
Okay, fair enough. So you're keeping an eye on that.
On it. She's committed after pressure from myself. She's agreed to meet with a delegation of the workers in Ardmore Studios, and also I know that the council, Wicklow County Council, had asked to send a delegation as well. So she's ceded to that. So there's pressure coming on from a national level, a local level, and indeed the workers. So look, I'm cautiously welcome what I heard yesterday, but look, action speaks louder than words.
Indeed. Okay, John Brady, Sinn Féin TD.
There anyway, but we need to hold the government to account on it.
All right, okay. Thanks for your time, John. No doubt we'll talk again. Thank you. Bye-bye. That's Deputy John Brady of Sinn Féin yesterday, who, along with others, other TDs, met the Minister, Mary Mitchell O'Connor. So if you want Ardmore to stay in Bray, are you reassured, assured, whatever it is, by what John has to say? What's your view? Our number is 087 77 11 103. A lot of turmoil going on as regards money. Ardmore Studios is there on PUS, want to put up the stamps PUS there, and will it be bankrupt? The service that many people are not happy with in County Wicklow, could it go even in its entirety? Our number 087 77 11 103.